Thank you for making the time to join today's webinar. I'm Meghan Florkowski, and I am the director of the Wise Women's Business Center. And really the goal of today's session is to come together as a business community and make sure that we are here for you. This is a great forum to continue to ask your questions. Of course, many of you did pre-submit your questions, and we have those ready. How this is going to run is our experts that are on board are going to hit on some strategic areas, and they're going to dive in to answer those questions. Before we get started, though, I want to make sure that I cover some of the operational items for you. I know for many, this is your first time, perhaps even participating in a webinar, and certainly on WebEx. You will see, if you look at the bottom of your screen, a number of different icons. Most of those you don't need to worry about today, but I do want you to put your attention on the chat feature. The chat feature is the sixth icon from your left as you're looking at your screen. And if you click on that, you will see the chat window pop up to the right of your screen. How we're going to use the chat feature is if there are questions that come in at the end, we'll have some discussion time at the end. That is the place where I'd like you to write those chat questions. We also want to make sure that you have the opportunity to ask any technical questions that you have. So if you're having any trouble, just let us know. My colleague Carolyn is on board, and she's going to do her best to help you make sure that you can enjoy today's session as much as possible.
Thank you.
All right, so now I have the good fortune of introducing our expert panel. We have 4 panel members on board. And the first is Tamika Otis. So Tamika has a big job. She leads the KeyBank Boost and Build program for New York State. This has been a wonderful collaboration for the Wise Center, as well as many organizations in Syracuse. And Tamika is on board to really give us a good understanding of the resources available right now at the community, the state, and the federal level. She's also going to take some time to address some of the questions that come in. So Tamika, I'm going to go on mute and hand it over to you.
Oh, great. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and happy Monday. We all made it through the weekend, so that's good news. So I wanted really high-level overview information about some of the resources that are out there, and to put it into perspective, you know, because this situation is ever evolving, so is the information that's coming out. And to give you an example, I emailed something to Meghan earlier this morning in response to one of the questions. And since I sent that this morning, that information has changed. So just bear in mind that this information is ever evolving, but I'm going to make sure to give Meghan some links that you all can follow up with so that you can consistently be checking the updates to the information. So I'm going to start at the federal level with the biggest resource that we have available right now. Many of you may have heard about the SBA's Economic Injury Disaster Loan. The good news is that late last week, New York State was designated as a disaster area, which means now New York businesses are now eligible for this loan. And so to tell you what businesses are eligible to apply, it includes small businesses, small agricultural cooperatives, small aquaculture businesses, and most private non-profit organizations. And so it includes businesses that were directly affected by the disaster, businesses that offer services directly related to the businesses in the declaration, and other businesses indirectly related to the industry that are likely to be harmed by losses in their community. One thing I do want to say about SBA loans is they can get complicated, as with any type of federal application. A lot of times it is a lot. So I don't want you to become overwhelmed by that. My best advice to you is to connect to your business mentor or advisor. If you already have one, hopefully you have one through Wise. If not, my suggestion is that you connect to Wise or another trusted, entrepreneurial support organization in the community to assist you with first assessing your business to see if you would even be eligible for the loan, because again, it is a lot of paperwork, but then also to help navigate you through the process, because, this is already overwhelming time and we don't want what is meant to help you to become even more of a burden. But with this process, it'll make it faster and easier to qualify, which is and it also means that it has expanded statewide access to these SBA disaster funds. So again, we will provide links for you. I have a link to a playback of a SBA information session giving details about the application process. I will share that so she can share that with all of you. And then there are 2 calls coming up today if you wanted to participate in an information session. This one happens to be in the state of Virginia, but this is a federal program, so the information that they'll share, with the exception of their state-specific information, will apply, and I will share that information with Meghan as well. But there is a substantial amount of money available for small businesses. Again, these are low-interest loans. Keep in mind they are loans. They do have to be paid back. The interest rates for small businesses are 3.75%. And for nonprofit organizations is 2.75% with terms up to 30 years. Again, that's just a high-level overview. I will provide more links for more detailed information, but I strongly encourage you, if you're looking to go this route, to again, 1, connect with your business advisor, and 2, participate in one of these calls where you have the opportunity to ask questions directly to the SBA and to hear the questions of other people who are sharing your experience. So that's it on the federal side. As far as the state side, there are still a lot of discussions going on. The one that we are all crossing our fingers for is one that was brought by our Senator Pam Hemling and Assemblyman Colin Schmidt. They have proposed a $890 million small business emergency assistance fund. And these funds are coming from settlement funds that are currently earmarked for use during economic uncertainty. The legislation would create a 0% interest loan program dedicated to helping small businesses meet their payroll commitments. Again, a huge goal here with helping small businesses is also helping to maintain jobs. So we're happy that they're writing that into there. Repurpose available tax credits to help the needs of the state's existing small businesses. Use all economic development discretionary funding for existing small businesses within New York State. Move tax deadlines for remittance, business tax, and personal income tax ahead 180 days, and suspend all regulatory fees on small businesses for 180 days. I'm hopeful that most of you have heard that the tax deadline has been extended to July 15th. So bear that in mind. This legislation has not yet been passed in New York State. We're monitoring it pretty much hourly, but we're very, very hopeful. We see how supportive our governor has been. We're very hopeful that this legislation will go through, which will provide more funds that New York State small businesses can access. Locally, we have resources too. I'm really proud to say that Syracuse's Mayor Ben Walsh announced the creation of the COVID-19 Emergency Relief Program for small businesses in the city of Syracuse. This is in collaboration with the Syracuse Economic Development Corporation, or SEDCO. They have created and dedicated a $500,000 fund to provide zero interest 180-day emergency loans to small businesses in the city. The great news here is that these are zero interest loans and the applications are available today. I will send the link to the application and a brief blurb over to Meghan, or I can email to all of you so that you have that information. But briefly, it's available on SEDCO's website. If you go to www.syrgov.net/SEDCO, it'll give you more details on this local funding that is available and give you access to the application. Again, that application is live as of today. So if you are a business in the city of Syracuse, I highly recommend, if you are in need or project that you will be in need, that you visit that website. Again, I will provide that information. Another thing to consider is that a lot of the utility companies are providing assistance for small businesses. If you have your business phone and or internet through Verizon, they are offering a lot of accommodations for their small business customers, including they're not interrupting your services, they are waiving late fees, they are making very reasonable payment arrangements. I know that in some cities, Verizon is also offering internet and Wi-Fi access in low-income communities for free through a program that they have. Some similar companies are doing the same. Spectrum also has some accommodations for their business customers, also not interrupting your service, very reasonable payment plans. So if you just Google Spectrum's COVID response or Verizon's COVID response, whoever is your supplier, put that into Google and it'll come right up. So just know that, you know, this is a great time to communicate with Verizon. National Grid also is being very lenient. They're not cutting off anyone's services during this time. They're making very reasonable payment arrangements. You know, don't be in fear of what the answer is going to be. What I found out from a lot of businesses is that they have been very happy with the response from some of their bill collectors in terms of making reasonable arrangements so that services aren't interrupted and so that you are not having to use the little bit of your cash flow that you have right now to pay your bills. So again, this is just a really high level overview of some of the resources that are available. I will share all of this with Meghan. We also, and I will put this in the chat line, on the Boost and Build website, we have a COVID-19 response resource guide that we are updating daily, if not hourly. So I'll put the link to that in the chat box as well in case you'd like to visit that resource. Thank you, Meghan.
So thanks so much, Tamika. So our next expert is Rina Corigliano-Hart. So Rina is a member of our advisory board. She does quite a bit in the community. So if you don't know her from WISE, you may know her from many of her other endeavors that she's involved in. Rina is a OneSelect business account executive with One Group. So where Rina is going to dig in for us is she's going to share her perspective and resources on small business insurance, HR, and benefits. So I'll hand it over to you, Rina.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the new normal. Hi, it's nice to see smiling faces. I'm very much an extrovert, so seeing other people and on my screen just does my heart good. I am going to echo a lot of what Tamika has said. One Group is very committed to our clients and to the community and making sure that people receive accurate, timely information. So a lot of what I will be talking about today is also available for you to take a look at on a special page that One Group has as a resource. And you can check it out at onegroup.com, and the link is right up at the top there when you land. But again, just a really a place where we're depositing a lot of the information and updates that we are receiving in a cohesive manner. So feel free to check that out. I am going to start from a federal level and then work myself down to the state level as well, taking into consideration a lot of the questions that have been asked in advance of this webinar. So starting off, I think you may or may not have heard that the Families First Coronavirus Response Act was passed by the Senate on March 18th, and it really has two main components. There is emergency paid leave under the Family Medical Leave Act, or FMLA, and there also is emergency paid sick leave that also falls under this new piece of legislation. So the emergency pay leave under FMLA is going to apply to employers with fewer than 500 employees. A lot of times we don't think about businesses that are of that size being small employer groups, but they are. So whether you're working for an employer or you are an employer with fewer than 500 employees, then FMLA would apply to you. And the changes to that this law is bringing to FMLA are specific to up to 12 weeks of unpaid and paid leave when employees are unable to work because of their child's school or child care service that has closed due to a public health emergency. And as we all know, this is indeed a public health emergency. So giving a little bit of relief to moms and dads that now not only find themselves home working, but are also finding that they are unable to balance both. And so this is an opportunity for them to be able to take advantage of the time that they're entitled to kind of get their ducks in a row. It's going to provide those 12 weeks, and if the benefit is going to be a paid benefit, then it will provide 2/3 of your pay up to $200 a day. There is a waiting period there, so the first 10 days are going to be unpaid, but then once you hit that window there, then if your employer is choosing to pay you over allowing you to use your paid time off, then that would apply. Emergency paid sick leave. This is a directive under this legislation that an employer shall provide to each employee paid sick time to the extent that the employee is unable to work or telework due to a need for a leave of absence. And so this is an example of this would be if an employee is required due to federal, state, or local quarantine guidelines to isolate themselves, or it is recommended by their medical professional that they are to put themselves in self-quarantine, then they would be entitled to paid sick leave. If the employee has been experiencing symptoms of COVID-19 and they are seeking a medical diagnosis, that also would be covered by paid leave. If an employee is caring for a son or a daughter, if the school or the place of care of that son and daughter has been closed, they also would be entitled to that paid leave. And if they are experiencing any other similar conditions specified by the Secretary of Health or Human Services in regards to our current crisis. Lots of information there, very confusing depending on the size of an employer. So with that verbal vomiting, for lack of a better word, of all of that regulation, I will make sure that Meghan has the links for you to be able to go on and take a look at the legislation and see where you might be able to find a benefit for yourself, either as an employee or some guidance as an employer. I'm going to move
Rina,
on.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to say I also have a cheat sheet that one of our consultants put together specifically for small businesses. So I'll share that with Meghan as well to go with your information.
Thank you. New York legislation. This is really being passed to address the immediate needs of employees that are affected by COVID-19 who are subject to our state's mandatory and immediate needs for closure, and also a mandatory needs for quarantine that are related to COVID-19. So and this will specifically be broken down based on the size of employer. So again, employees that are working for small employers with 1 to 10 employees, those employees are going to be that are subject to a mandatory or precautionary order of quarantine or isolation will receive unpaid sick days and the ability to immediately qualify for paid family leave and temporary disability benefits plus full job protection. So that's very much key there. I think a lot of people are, that is also a question that we're fielding. So if I do decide that I'm leaving my job, or I am coming down with symptoms and I'm afraid that if I leave my job, I won't get my job back, full job protection is included in this legislation. Let's see, for employees working for medium-sized employers, so 11 to 99 employees, and small business employers who are generating more than $1 million in income annually, those employees that work for that size group, they are going to, and they're subject to that mandatory quarantine or isolation. They are entitled to receive 5 paid sick days and the ability to immediately qualify for paid family leave, as well as your temporary New York State statutory disability benefits. Again, full job protection would be included. For employees that are working for large employers, so 100 employers and employees and more, they are also going to get the same protections, but they will receive paid sick days for the entirety of the duration that they are required to be quarantined or isolated. Let's see. With regards to employee benefits, I do want to stress we are seeing from our carriers that many of them are strongly encouraging their employees and their employers to encourage employees to sign up for your insurance carrier's telehealth medicine application. So if you are a current subscriber through Excellus or through MVP or United Healthcare, they all have really great telehealth medicine applications. You can download them to your iPhone or to your iPad. And during these times, it's going to be tricky in many instances to be able to contact your provider in not just related to the COVID crisis, but you could have other health insurance issues or health issues that are going on. So in this case, a lot of the carriers, due to the volume, they're encouraging their employees or subscribers to download that app, sign yourself up, and that way when you really need to be able to speak to somebody, you will be able to do so. Another concern that we're fielding at one group is the loss of health insurance coverage due to the loss of employment. The New York State government and the New York State of Health, which is our insurance exchange, has actually opened a special election period. So if you are an employee who has lost or will be losing their coverage due to the coronavirus epidemic or pandemic that we're experiencing, you may be entitled to a special election period that would enable you to get health insurance coverage in lieu of the coverage that you're losing through your employer. One other thing that I did want to touch on is the fact that workers' compensation, if you have anyone in your family who is currently going through a workers' compensation claim, those are all being handled virtually now. So please check with your with the workers' compensation board to see how about maintaining those appointments. I know some people may have family members who are involved in those types of issues and claims. And what we're seeing now in our new normal is that we're all having to figure out ways to connect virtually or electronically to get business done. So the last thing that I wanted to touch on was actually at the request of Lisa Eklund, who is another panelist today. And one of the things that we have been concerned with at one group, and Lisa actually had a concern with as well, is businesses now trying to pivot. So you have been working so hard and so diligently on your business plan, and you had everything together, and you've been going like gangbusters, and then this happened. So how are you going to pivot in order to stay in business, to remain relative, to be able to continue to do business? And a lot of things, especially in the restaurant industry and profession, what we're seeing is delivery and takeout, and a lot of creativity in that respect. So just want to make you aware, this is where the rubber meets the road, right? This is where all of those bail team members that you've assembled over the last months and years are you're going to be able to rely on. So at this point, if you are considering a pivot in your business, I just heard on the radio this morning, 1911 Spirits, they're now going to be manufacturing hand sanitizer. So big pivot there, right? So we want to make sure that the coverage that you have in place is going to be able to cover you in the event of a claim should you pivot. So I'm strongly recommending that you absolutely reach out to your insurance advisor, that member of your bail team, to make sure that you are covered in the way that you should and have those conversations. So with that, I think I probably used a minute or two more than I should have. So I'm going to turn it back over to Megan.
That was perfect. Thank you so much, Rina. So our next expert, and many of you know her, is Lisa Eklund. Lisa is our Wise Business Counselor. Lisa is also a fantastic entrepreneur herself. So where Lisa is going to dig in for us, she is going to talk a bit about the strategy, best practices, and many of the questions, I would say about half of the questions that have come in have really been in this area. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Lisa.
Hi, everyone. Whoops, I realized I never took myself off of mute. I had my script up in front of me. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? No? Okay, good. So anyway, sorry for my little technical glitch. I'm trying to be so savvy and use a scrolling script for Word so I can look at you and kind of keep track of things, and what's in the way of the bar I needed to hit. Anyway, so I'm really glad to be here and and be able to offer you more, get to let you know more about our business counseling services, and offer some like tips and strategies to help you really navigate what's going on right now, both with your business and with you personally. So I first wanted to talk a bit about what we're doing, what we do at Wise in general, and how we're actually trying to pivot to help you out right now too. So right now, we have one pivot we've done is we do all of our counseling now by Zoom or phone, and that's I do from my living room, right where you see me now. In general, we offer one-on-one business counseling year-round to people who at any level of business, from the seed of an idea right through to well-established businesses. And right now, we're doing that, but we're also trying to focus our efforts on helping business owners who are affected by all these changes, which are most business owners right now. And so we're happy to help you brainstorm as how to pivot and find new ways to generate revenue and maintain connection with your customers. Getting ideas of how to look at your finances and tighten up, your personal and business budgets, which is really important. And we also can recommend ways to work with your creditors. Each of you is individual, and some people, have talked about this already, as far as, contacting your creditors and not being afraid of that, and working with them, because everybody's in the same place right now, and they want all of you to succeed and all of us to succeed and survive as well, because it's going to benefit them when we're all done. So don't be afraid to talk to them. If you're not in the best financial space, don't beat yourself up for it either. Just start where you are and work forward, work with us or whatever mentor you have to help you through this process. And then, like we said, we can help you, the loans and things that were mentioned, all the different applications and things, we can help you with that. I'm happy to do one-on-one counseling with you, and whatever I don't know at the time, we have tons of resources to connect you with people who help you out, or I can find the answers for you. And then I want to kind of get on to probably what's going with some of you guys right now. And I know you're probably, I as well, because I am in business myself, are feeling all sorts of emotions and overwhelm. Just to share, like with me, my business is equestrian related, and all equestrian businesses are shut down right now, other than people taking care of the animals. And I do clinics and things, so I'm not going to be able to do any of that. And I have until things change, so I'm shifting and pivoting, trying to figure out a way to offer some online things. But it also, you have some fear and nerves, and you're not alone. And some of that fear that we have, I kind of like to call, and other people call, is like wisdom fear. It's good for us at times. It serves us well. It's the fear that makes us wash our hands properly and do the social distancing we're supposed to be doing and follow the guidelines that we've been given. Maintaining a good amount of food and supplies at home. It really helps us look at our finances and manage our expenses and cut back on things. That we can do and do it calmly. But then there's that irrational fear that doesn't serve us so well. And that gets us stressed, so we can't sleep at night, and makes us constantly, worry and build up great big stories in our head. I'm sure you've all done it already, and so have I, worrying about what the future holds. And irrational fears are really around things we can't control. So we don't have control of the future. We do have control of what we can do right now with everything, around ourselves, and how we manage things, and how we the things we can take care of right now around us in our business, and through our own self-care and things as well. So you can get into that panic. The irrational fear also kind of gets us into that panic where that's why people are hoarding a huge amount of supplies, and actually thinking about doing that. Your wisdom fear, say for something like that, should tell you, well, I need to save some of my cash flow to be prepared for other things, and not just have it all in, a lot of supplies and food. But or sometimes you might get into that panic mode where you actually get into denial and say, well, I'm going to try to keep running as usual, and not make good plans, for what's going on, or maybe try to buck the system and, stay open for business. And back to when Rina was talking about insurance, you want to be sure your insurance is covering whatever you're doing, and you do follow the guidelines. So, so the worry and stories about worst case scenarios that we get in, and when we're staying up at night, really cause us to kind of, live these things like they're really happening. And our body feels the stress and all that. So it's really important to find ways not to let that irrational fear take over your life. And my business is called the Mindful Equestrian. And so I do my meditation and things. So that's something I do, but you don't have to do meditation. And you also don't have to really just push that fear away and ignore it. It's really best to acknowledge when it comes up, and then just say it's okay, almost like, I don't need you right now, please go away. And you shift your thinking, so you can start focusing on your breath, go for a walk. Until today, we've had some nice weather. Read a book, get caught up in those things that you haven't been able to do. Connect with your family. I mean, hearing all sorts of people talking about how they're really connecting with their family now. Learning how, I know my cooking is getting a lot better. So get into cooking, teach yourself how to do that. Learn, what are there things you wanted to learn that you haven't been able to do? Enrich your life and take this time to do that. And when you distract yourself, it can help quiet your mind, and then you can move forward. And just treat yourself kindly right now, and do some loving care with things. Many of you now do have time for that. So thinking about focusing on what you can control and letting go of the rest. The other thing I would say is stay informed by the news, and like you're sitting here getting information, but limit your time doing so. And I have to say I'm at fault. I get listening and watching too much stuff. And it can drive you to worry more. So inform yourself and then move on. And focus on the bright side of things. Like I said, take this time to do some renewal. For your business, you can get caught up in those business projects that you didn't have ever had time for. So maybe it's about learning QuickBooks, or doing some social media marketing, learning about that, or whatever else it may be in your business you haven't had time to do. It might be as simple as going through your office and organizing things and organizing your financial paperwork or whatever it is. Take this time. And it may set you up so that when we do come out of this, you're going to be more prepared to be more successful at the other end if you can to think that way. And also do the same thing personally. I know I'm going through and cleaning my house and decluttering and all that stuff as well. So there's a lot of things you can do. And I know many of you are overwhelmed too because you're having to help your children learn from home. And don't think that you have to do this perfectly, and that maybe this is a time that kids can learn totally different things than the typical schoolwork, and you can find time to connect with them and find new interesting things that maybe you both can learn together. And also, just somebody had asked, so I'm going to address this now, a question about how can you do more, and about with than just being on the phone or whatever. It's a great thing if you can be comfortable using things like Zoom, which is very easy. You can meet with friends and family on platforms like that. You could do a Zoom dinner party, game nights, exercise parties. You can really be creative. So don't feel like you're so isolated that you can't connect to the community around you. And remember your older friends and neighbors and family as well, and stay connected with them. And as far as your business goes, Rina was talking about pivoting. You want to think about ways that you can maybe create income through online offerings, if your business can do that. Deliveries or curbside pickup, as long as they are allowed by the state mandates and your insurance. And if you can't do those things, stay connected with your customers anyway. Don't let them forget you, and don't you forget them. And you can do that through social media, emails, your blog. And don't do just offering them things that you're about your business or that you want to sell, but offer them things that can help them through this time. It doesn't even need to be related through your business. You might find a cool educational resource or creative resource or something that you can offer them. If it is something around business education, like say you're in a contractor business or something like that, offer them some how-to tips or things. There's a lot of things you can do, and you can create great Zoom fun group events for you and your clients. Doesn't need to be around your business. You could do a Zoom, movie night or a Facebook watch party or lots of things. And if you're not comfortable with social media, there's a lot of stuff out there now that are free tools to teach people, because people are aware that this is a learning curve for some. Some businesses are having fun with just creating fun memes and putting them on social media. Put things in your clients' lives that kind of will brighten up their days, because we're seeing so much dark stuff. So think of how you can brighten up their day and lighten up life and enrich their lives, because it'll make you feel better too. And just really kind of think outside of the box. And I know there were a couple other specific questions, so I wanted to go on to answering some of those now. But understand that the questions are kind of broad, and sometimes the answers need to be specific to your business. And please feel free to reach out to us. I am here to set up appointments for you to help you out. So I'll give you some general answers here, but if you need more in-depth help, please contact us. So one question was about what kind of guidance for consultants we can give. And that is a broad question because there's so many different types of consultants. But some strategies I would say would be to talk to your current clients and see where they are and what you could offer them remotely at this time, whether they can afford what you're doing or maybe willing to do it at a discount. And if not, if you can say, well, let's put it on pause, but we'll start back up at a certain time. They may have to fully stop work with you right now, but maybe you can come up with ways to offer them some free services just to maintain that connection, or free, free ideas, free things that you can maintain the connection with them, so that they want to hire you once again once we get past this. Think of ways you can also might offer them new and unique things online to help bring in, or yourself, unique things online that would help you bring in income. And you may not be able to do that. Like I said, it just depends on the business, but you really have to think outside of the box and pivot a bit. And that's, again, it's very broad, but if you specifically need help, contact us and we can help you, kind of design a plan, maybe to bring in income, or, to connect with your clients and make the best of this situation. And I would say, no matter, like I said earlier, no matter what you're doing, use this time to improve what you do in your business offerings, your marketing, financial management. So you have everything really up and running even better for when we move forward. And then other tools to stay connected to customers people want to know. I think I mentioned a lot of that easier. Like we're using WebEx, Zoom, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Videos are great, but just let them know you're closed and what things you can offer them remotely and in other ways. And I think people really want to rally around their small business friends as best they can. So, don't be afraid to, let them know where you're at. Keep your messaging, positive, but keep them informed. If you're still running your business in some way, let them know. And if it's a business where it's a tangible property and they're going to be receiving something from you, let them know about your protocol for around cleaning and disinfecting things and all that. Go through that, but don't get them overwhelmed by it because they're hearing it from everybody. And if you're like closing fully, let your customers know and let them also know that you're doing it for the greater good, so that they see that you're willing to sacrifice this right now because it's for the better. And customers, will have better connections to you because of that. And also let them know what you're doing for your employees. And how they are getting through it, because they have great connections. Customers have great connections to employees as well. And just remember to keep using empathy in your messaging. Be very careful that you don't word things to raise more fear. And it's also to be careful that you're not sounding like you're taking advantage of the situation. So there's nothing wrong with making money during this time, but don't create offerings that sound like they're kind of a little bit too much of taking advantage of a situation. So anyway, that's pretty much what I have to say. And like I said, one other thing too is check your automated email and Facebook ads. I know I've seen a few things coming through on my Facebook of events that I know are canceled. They have been long canceled and they keep popping up. So make sure you go into your automated messaging, if you have any, and take out anything that's not going to be relevant to what's going on now. And one last thing is ask your customers what they would like to hear from you as well. Excuse me. And from there, if you have any questions or if Joanne's ready to go on, has anything to say, let's go move on. And thank you very much. Feel free to contact me. Okay, take care.
So thank you so much, Lisa. So Joanne Lenweaver is joining us. So thank you so much, Joanne. Joanne's going to touch, I have to say, though everybody knows her, she is the former director of WISE. And Joanne's going to talk a bit more about community and strategy.
Thank you, Megan. And greetings to everyone on this call. And I hope you are all well and your families are safe in this time. I'm not certain if you all know I retired from WISE, as Megan said, in September. And as a result, my husband and I decided to really ramp up our side business, which is Clean Slate Farm. We make balsamic vinegars and we have bees and honeybees. And so we sell the honey and a whole bunch of other things. And last year, we had a great year and had just great plans for 2020 and all the upcoming sales that we would see. And now COVID-19 has changed everything for us and you. And so what does that mean to all of us? I hope you feel like I'm in the same boat in a way, and we're both trying to figure out what we're going to be doing next. So I feel a little frustrated, like Lisa was saying, you have some real emotion here, and it's frustration and uncertainty. And, I'm a little scared, of what might happen, how long this will last. But I also really, I come from 40 years of being in the ad game and advertising and marketing. And I know that this will pass. But I want you to be thinking of how you're going to hit the ground running when you do come out of the other side of this. And how can we do this? Right now we're in lockdown mode. Here we are, and we're stuck in the house. So I feel like I want to revisit who I am. It's a great time for you to do the same, where you might be able to think about what you really want your business to be. Sometimes we get really busy and all we're doing is fulfilling orders, or we're putting together, the next marketing plan or whatever you do as a consultant. And you really are at a place where you really can't stop and recalculate your business plan or do whatever you need to do to kind of refresh things. And as everyone has said on this call today, pivot is probably the word of the day. So, I really feel that this is a time to sit back and really realize how authentic you can be with yourself and with your clients and your employees. So, I feel like sitting down, taking a deep breath, and also starting to ask questions, tons and tons of questions. You can hear all of these other experts on this call. There are so many resources popping up everywhere. We really need to start becoming very aware of what is 100% available to us. You have to ask for it if it's there. No one's going to come out and find you. So that's one of the things that I think is really important. Go to WISE, go wherever you feel comfortable, and the government, and find out what is starting to pop up. This is all new territory, so we really want to make sure that we figure out where we're going to go get this cash, loans, whatever it may be. Finding out what other people are doing is one of the things that I am totally enjoying about this moment in entrepreneurial history. Everybody's like getting tired of being on social maybe and sitting around. I think this is the most exciting thing that has ever happened, because people are doing the craziest things, and they're, not only entertaining us, and I really appreciate that at this time, but they're also coming up with the most wonderful ways to create revenue in a totally different way. Example, a local bakery, and a lot of you on this call may recognize who it is. They borrowed an idea from a San Francisco gourmet bakery, and that is, in San Francisco, they decided that they would bake quarantine cakes. And what it says on the quarantine cake is wash your hands, stay in the house, things like that. And so our local bakery asked them, would you mind if we stole your idea in a way? And everybody was like, no, there is no ownership of these fabulous ideas at this time in our history. Another thing that's happening, again, from the food angle, is there are two chefs in town that have come up with this amazing idea. And I think it's the only time that's ever been done. And that is, one of them is in Auburn, the other one is in Utica, the other one is in Syracuse, and the other one is in Corning, south of us. And one of the things that they've decided to do is a virtual gourmet dinner feast. And so each one is taking their portion of the meal and designing a part of it. So one is doing dessert, one is doing appetizer, whatever. So, but each one will create the entire meal at their restaurant. So you go and pick up the meal, and then you, in your local area, it's the complete meal. It's on Eventbrite, so look for it, with Luke Houghton, and Provisions by Pure is the name. And so what they're going to do is also, when everyone sits down, it's going to be a virtual meal, and everyone who decides to join in on that meal will be on screen. So this is such a great idea, and it keeps Luke and all of the other chefs and their restaurants in front of all of these great people that are part of his fan base. So people are trying to come up with ideas like this. You know what? They're going to come out stronger and more visible than anyone as time goes on. I'll wrap up by saying I'd love you to consider, what if this is the new normal? This is maybe not in its severest form, but what if we are looking at a place where it's going to be very much a different type of doing business? So let's think about, what if you decide that you're going to have a meeting with your employees on a regular basis? How can you forge your connections and your bonding with your employees on a real strong basis right now? And then also schedule team virtual meetings with your clients. Think about that. How would you be able to do not only one-on-one, but also, let's say, if you decided that you got 5 of them together, and how do they all interact and ask you for your advice on something? And then I also think it's really important for us to consider something such as a virtual meeting with our legislator, and just say, you know what, I'm a small business person. How can I host a, let's say, a half an hour meeting by a virtual channel, and you could share what you know for the people that I care for as my clients. So I guess my message is to take a deep breath and feel like, if you feel like teaching people how to, like Lisa was saying, teaching people how to cook, if you want to teach them how to oil paint because you love to do it, all kinds of things like that, show who you truly are at this time. It's the opportune time to do that. And think about the fact that, what if it is going to be the new normal? How you can take this bull by the horns and just say, you know what, I'm ready for that. I'm going to dream how I could really make my business different in this situation. So, Meghan, thank you so much for allowing me to return and share with your clients and everyone. I'm so glad to see everybody.
Absolutely. We're so grateful to have you.
Thank you.
So I do want to make a note on what Joanne just shared. There's always opportunity for you to continue to share your challenges. You can do so directly, or I say opportunities. You can do so directly with WISE. Call us, email us, whatever is easiest for you. If you want those to be shared with the community, we'll make sure to get those to the mayor's office, to Center State. There are many different organizations right now that are kind of collecting and submitting, so your voice can be heard. So just be sure to share those with us, or you can do so directly. I know that Center State has their poll online as well. So before I close it out here, we do have a couple more minutes, and so I ask, if you have a question that popped up while you're on that you would like answered, you can go ahead and submit it in the chat function, and then we will field that to our expert panel. I'll give you a few moments. All right, I'm not seeing any typing happening. If you do have a question, please go ahead and put that in the chat feature or email it to us directly, and we'll make sure that we get back to you. And that's our goal at the center, is to make sure that we are getting back to you within the day. And certainly if you want a counseling session, that we are able to make that happen for you. I will say that we are prioritizing kind of those challenges that are happening right now related to COVID-19, but certainly we're going to continue to schedule for all of our clients. And I would say, as far as resources are concerned, so many have been shared today, and we want to make sure that we get those out to you in a timely manner. So, like the many others that are out there that are sharing resource guides, we have our own, and really it's a compilation of many of the resource guides that are out there, along with many of the resources and update links that were shared with you today. We're going to have those in a couple of different places. So we're going to share that resource guide. We're going to pin it on Facebook. That seems to be our most active community on social. And we're also going to do so on a newly created LinkedIn page. You'll see that the LinkedIn page for WISE, it is the WISE Women's Business Center company page, is very resource heavy at this time. And that's and what we feel is most important to do with the LinkedIn page right now. But we also offer that is an opportunity for you to connect with each other as well. I'm looking through my little notes to see if I missed anything. Yes, I did. So I will say the last thing is that Lisa, as I had mentioned, is available for those sessions. I'm available, and we are both going to come together at 2 o'clock on every Thursday via WebEx, and offer that as really just an open hour for folks to come on. We are figuring out how we are going to best share that link. Likely it's going to be via Facebook. And certainly if you would like the link, we can share it with you directly via email. Just go ahead and reach out. I want to thank our panel once again for coming together. I really appreciate you guys all making the time, as you are all making your own shifts. And
can I touch on one thing before we hang up?
Oh, absolutely. Go ahead.
Just real quick. I know we have 1 minute left. I think someone was saying something about self-care. I just want to make sure that we are really focusing on self-care. This is, like Joanne said, a perfect opportunity to kind of hit the pause button or slow down button at least, and do some of those things. One of the things that we've been doing, my team at Jumpstart, is really encouraging entrepreneurs and small business owners to write self-care into your business plan, so that it holds you accountable, so that you're thinking about personal development opportunities, some self-care opportunities that you want to be very intentional about incorporating into your day or into your entrepreneurial life. And so if you have a business plan, I really encourage you to take this time to incorporate some self-care planning into your business plan, so that you hold yourself accountable and you're making sure to take care of yourself, especially now. So I just wanted to kind of point that out.
Great idea. I love that. I'm going to add it into my counseling business plan.
Good. Good.
So, any final words out there before I close us out? Getting some head shakes. All right. All right. Well, that was great. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Hi, thanks.
Bye-bye.